guys, welcome back to the next video. So today in this video I'm going to tell you about what is Linux. So before diving into the Linux, so let us discuss about the difference between Linux and Windows. Basically Linux and Windows, both they are both the operating system which are used by the computers and wherever you want to use, as in laptop or etc. So basically Windows is a platform which is developed by the Microsoft, and Linux is also a platform, but it is not developed by some any particular organization or someone. It is a open source project, or you can say it is an open source operating system which is a community based. Means gather around, people from the world gather around as a team, and they develop Linux. Basically Linux kernel has been first developed by the Linus Torvald, a Finnish computer software engineer who first created the Linux kernel. And after that there were many versions of Linux available, so I'm going to tell you about all of those. So before Linux there was Unix. So what's the difference between Unix and Linux? Before Linux, Unix was available in every computer. Unix is a type of operating system. Linux and Unix both are same. Linux is also Unix based, but the difference is that Unix have only CLI version, means it is only command line interface. It doesn't have any graphical version. So in 19 so I don't exactly remember I think in 1971 Linux kernel first came, which introduced the concept of GUI, means graphical user interface. I am using a Linux right now. See, in this case I have a GUI. I can access with the help of the mouse, and with the help of the mouse I can access the directories and other parts of the operating system. Like I can access the computer from here. In GUI based operating system you can use the CLI, means command line, or you can set the terminal by right clicking and opening terminal. So though it is a GUI based, nowadays Linux is a GUI based, but most of the features, means 50 to 60% features are we have to do from the command line. Just GUI is there, GUI is present, graphics is present to make our life easier. So we can access the folders, directories, etc. by with the help of the mouse. So here comes that there are how many types of Linux are available, because in Windows there is Windows XP, Vista 7, 8, 8.1, 10, and etc. and server is also there. But in Linux there are different types of Linux available. So the major two Linux which are used by the companies or the organizations or by the individuals are the RPM version or the Debian version. So what is RPM and what is Debian? RPM is basically a type of Linux version, in which the Linux packages has been installed is have a default extension to RPM. So I am using, so you have guys who have heard about Ubuntu, Ubuntu Mate, then Kali Linux, Linux Mint. They are all Debian based. So they are Debian. So what is RPM based Linux? RPM based Linux are Red Hat, Fedora, OpenSUSE. They are all RPM based Linux. Their packages is RPM based. So you can't install a Debian package into an RPM package. Their repository is something different, and Debian repository is something different. In RPM, suppose if you say Fedora, if you want to download something of Fedora version, you have to download the RPM version of the Fedora. Means suppose you want to download a software from any repository or from a third party software, you have to download the .rpm version of the software. Then with the help of the command line interface you can install the software in the Fedora. Actually .rpm, if you want to depackage or if you want to install a RPM software, you can use yum command. See, updated method is .yum. With the help of the yum command you can install the packages or the software in RPM based operating system, which are Fedora, Red Hat, OpenSUSE, and etc. CentOS, etc. So how can you download Fedora? One of the greatest advantage of Linux that it is open source distribution, and Linux is written in C language and assembly language. So the main advantage of using Linux is that it is totally free, not like Microsoft. Yeah, I'm not telling about the piracy or like that, but in Linux, every Linux is free from Fedora to Debian version except Red Hat. Yeah, in Red Hat if you want to download the server or like that, you have to pay for the Red Hat. Otherwise, every Linux, there are hundreds of Linux versions and distribution available. They are all free. So if you want to download anything, you can easily download, and they will not charge you extra. They will not charge you any money for that. So if you want to download Fedora and if you want to use it, what we will do, go to the Google and click Fedora and write Fedora, and there you can see that Fedora has come, and get fedora.org. This is the official website to download Fedora. Click that. So it will open the official website of the Fedora. So after opening, there are two versions of the Fedora. If you want to use as a normal computer as like Windows, etc., like, then you can download the Fedora Workstation official edition. And if you want to build up your own server, or like or for the data center, or for hosting any something operations, you can download the Fedora server. Both are official, and there's all the official website. If you click download now, download will begin, and there you can choose your operating system. If you're 32-bit user, I think now is all of 64-bit. You can check whether 32-bit is available or not, or the 64-bit is available. I think most of the computers are now of 64-bit, so they will be all 64-bit. I'm not sure, but you can check that. So this is the CAD of Fedora. After downloading ISO file will download, you can either use a VM or a VirtualBox if you want to install it virtually, or you can dual boot the Fedora, or you can make a single boot of your system. It depends on your own, and it's your choice. So this is how you can download Fedora. and and there are some many other RPM based Linux like Red Hat, OpenSUSE, etc. like that. Red Hat is sorry, Red Hat is available also. And if you want to download OpenSUSE, click OpenSUSE, and the official download page of the OpenSUSE has come. It is also RPM based Linux, so you can download the OpenSUSE from here, from the official website. There is not a big deal. And then comes a Debian based. If you're a Linux user, so many of the Linux user will face this. Most of the Linux user are of Debian based, because why Debian is not easy. I prefer Debian because I like the what was I like the display. I like the files which associated with the Debian. I'm familiar with Debian. It's not that Debian is good and RPM is bad. It totally up to you which Linux you want to. So in Debian based Linux, there are many types of Linux distribution in Debian based. The first is Ubuntu. Yeah, the most famous Linux and the most common Linux. Everyone should have heard about it. It's like Ubuntu. Then Backtrack, then Kali Linux. The Kali Linux is the official penetration testing distribution, and there are some third-party distribution like Linux Mint, which I'm using. This is the best third-party distribution of the Debian. So yeah, so what's the difference between Debian and that uh, and other RPM based Linux? Debian is basically Debian is basically a Linux which have .deb package. Means if you want to install something in Debian, what we will do, you can do this dpkg -i filename .deb. Suppose there is one file name in your computer. This is known as filename.deb. If you want to install the Debian file in your computer, you have to do dpkg-i. Dpkg means depackage. It will depackage the file for you, and it will install the subsequent files for your computer. So dpkg-i for install and the filename.deb. So if you in Linux there is one advantage. If you forgot one command or something, you can do dpkg-help. From here option, sorry, spelling mistake. See, you can get all the options which are available for the depackage command. This is the most useful features in Linux available. If you forgot something, there is a help option for that. So Linux is I prefer Linux, that's why. So in Debian there are many Linux. I have told that Ubuntu, Kali Linux, etc., and the third-party distribution. So yeah, Debian Linux. Debian is also free. You can download Ubuntu from the official website. Ubuntu. If you browse the Ubuntu official website, here you can get many types of Ubuntu like cloud, server, desktop, IoT, etc. There are 5 types of Ubuntu available. If you want to use it as a cloud, then you can download Ubuntu Cloud. You can use, if you want to use it as a server, you can download the server, or if you want to use it at a desktop, you can download the desktop. Ubuntu is totally free, and it is a Debian based. So after that, in Linux there are many default user interface which you will face. So the most famous interface is GNOME. GNOME is GNU's network oriented model environment. Then there is KD, which is a K desktop environment. Then there is Plasma 5, and after that Unity. So Kali Linux, Red Hat, Fedora, all they mostly use genome based environment. And this Linux mean this is a genome based, and this is a cinnamon based environment. This is not a genome. And if you browse to Red Hat or Fedora, they will use genome. So there is one another user interface known as Ubuntu Mate. So this is a Mate distribution environment. Actually, they are all user interface. User interface means they all vary in something in some features. After all, they are all Debian based, but their user interface is something different. Just like if you are downloading Android, so Android 6 is I think some version 5 or like that, and Android 6 is some version 6.123. There are the user interface of the Android. So in this Linux it is also the same. So this is a cinnamon based environment. Kali Linux, Backtrack, they are all genome based environment. Genome is the most genome is widely used. And if you browse for the Ubuntu has its own environment. That is the Unity based environment. Ubuntu search engine, Ubuntu displays something different from the rest of the Linux. That's why Ubuntu has Unity based environment. So here comes the Linux terminal. Though I am using a GUI, I have told that most of the Linux features are available with the CLI. So how can you access the terminal? uh, just right click on the desktop, click open in terminal. A terminal will open for you. And if you don't want to right click, there will be an option in here depending on the Linux terminal. And if you don't have the option, go to the menu and search terminal. You will get the terminal option. In it depends on Linux to Linux. Sometimes menu is present, sometimes a square box is present where you can click and you will get the search option. Or sometimes if you press the window key, you will get the search option in Linux also. And this is the terminal. So what is a terminal? A terminal is basically a shell in a Linux where you can with the help of this shell you can access your operating system. So how can you access our operating system? So if I want to access the desktop, what will I do? I'm not in the desktop. I'm in my virtual machine. So if you want to access the desktop, we'll press cd desktop. We are in the desktop directory. So how can you know we are in the desktop directory? See, desktop is written over there. And if you want to access if you want to list the files, what type of files are present in the desktop, we can do ls. If you do a basic ls over here, you will get you will get all the files present which are in the desktop. uh, so ls is the abbreviated form of list. So if you do ls command, you will see all the files which are present in the desktop. It's not the case of desktop. Suppose if you want to go to the downloads, you can press sorry no. And if you want to go back to the desktop, means you want current directory, you can do cd, and then you can do cd downloads. If you want to go to downloads directory, there you can press ls. You can get the down all the files which are present in the downloads. And if you and just like previous, if you want to go out from the downloads, what will you do? Cd hyphen f dot dot. With the help of this cd dot dot command, you can go out of the download directory. And if you type clear, it will clear the terminal for you. In Linux there are many types of file present and inbuilt which you don't have to install it, just like Windows. Let's say like Python is already installed in Linux. If you install Linux in your computer, Python is already there. Just type Python. It will go back to it will take you to the Python shell. And if you want to use Python 3, then type Python 3. It will take you to the Python 3 shell. So you can do all the features with the help of the Linux terminal. And there are some many features in Linux available. Suppose if you want to show you want the date, click date, you will get the date and the time. Suppose if you want suppose if you want to know the current working directory, in which working directory you are, just like pwd, you are in, I am in home postman, so this is the current working directory. So with the help of the shell, or with the help of the shell or the terminal which are present in Linux, you can access many of things which are available. Yeah, so if you want to use Linux like that, you can use. And and this is all. And if you want to see your username, you can use uname. You can press uname, you can see that your username is Linux. With the help of the uname, you can see your username. So so uh, so with the so these are all the features available in Linux, and this is only the 0.01%. Rest of the thing I will show you in the later video. So thank you for watching the video.